Good morning and welcome to the next edition of the Sermon on the Mount series. And today we're starting in chapter 7. And we're taking a pretty large chunk here, so let's just get right down into it. And here in verse 1, Jesus starts chapter 7 by saying, "Judge not, that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own? Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, Let me pull out the mote let me pull out the mote out of thine eye, and behold, the beam is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then thou shalt see clearly to cast the mote out of thy brother's eye. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast your pearls before the swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you." Jesus starts out chapter 7 by talking about judgment. And there is a proper judgment that is done in love and discernment, and then there is improper judgment that is rash, irrational, and without love, compassion, or pity. Verses 1 and 2 show us the simplicity of the matter. Righteous judgment comes from the Lord. So what he's saying here is don't rashly or unlovingly judge, because when you do, you'll be judged the same way. God is not unrighteous in his judgment, and you will receive as you have given. And this is very similar to Matthew 6 and 2, which we talked about several months ago. In the beginning of chapter 6, Jesus starts off talking about how you do your righteousness. And he said, if you do it to be seen of men, if you do it for personal gain, then you have your reward. And this is very similar. If your judgment is rash and irrational, doesn't have any love or compassion or pity, there's no discernment involved, then you are going to get exactly what you've dished out. And God is not unrighteous to make sure that we all get exactly what we give. Verses 3 through 5 are some expounding on the hypocrisy of improper judgment. And Jesus goes as far as to call it hypocritical to judge someone when you yourself are guilty of the same thing. Verse 6 kind of goes in a little bit the opposite direction. Instead of this rash, irrational rush to judgment, unloving, and just very undiscerning, we are also to show prudence and judgment in how we deal with people, especially from the standpoint of talking about religious matters. There are some people that just won't receive anything from you. And we are to exercise judgment in how we dispense the gospel. We are to preach to all creatures, but we have to be able to use discretion and discernment on what we say to people. In other words, keeping it simple, lift up Jesus. He will do the work to draw all men unto him. So let's show people the path to salvation. Revelation, the prophecies, and all that are good in their place. But we have a job to do, and that job is to bring men and women to Jesus Christ, to bring them to a place of salvation. And as always, we love you, and God loves you. We're praying for you. God bless you, and have a fantastic week in the Lord.